Past the top of the growth stage is when you receive the Messiah, which means fully receive your spouse. So yes, you have to receive your spouse, which means know the value of what you got. But in addition to that, you have to come under the temptations to trade. This is when your false gods get the opportunity to present to you the opportunity to activate your desires for the false god's approval, or just simply do what's in the best interest of your blessed family. Or simply bow out from whatever your false god is offering and say, no, I don't need that. So what this may look like for Greg is to say, no, I don't need to pollute the front hall of the church with money-making ways of making money. I don't know, maybe somebody else puts you up to it. I don't know. Just a suggestion. Lowell, social acceptance. I don't need to add to the defamatory things that's being said about Jamal behind his back just to be cool with people. I actually don't need to. And then you could actually refrain. Like people, a test might look like, what do you think, Lowell? He's a terrible guy. And then you go, not really. I don't know the guy. I don't know the Jamal that you're really talking about. He just really believes what he believes, and he's nobody's fool. Maybe you could have said that instead of saying, yeah, I heard him call Lourdes a whore one time. I never had called Lourdes a whore until today. Access whore. I called her a snake, but you had to lay it on thicker than what it actually was because of excessive desire. So maybe, when you go, I don't care if you guys don't think I'm in the in crowd. I don't actually have to agree here and there with you. That's what, overcoming social acceptance false god might look like. Tim, maybe sometimes you should say, I don't know why Father said that. Maybe you could even say it publicly. I don't know. But that at a moment of truth might be an act of overcoming the three temptations. Even when people think you look like the loser in a debate. Maybe the debate doesn't matter to you. So it's like, okay, I certainly can do that. And it's just a suggestion as a brother. I don't want you guys to do the shit that you did anymore. Robert, repent. Repent for not being in the hospital, not running to the hospital. Repent for not running to the hospital when your wife was admitted. Repent for the women of the Pocono family group taking more care of your wife in her final days than you, because you had to be down in Hyungjin's basement pretending like you knew how to put in a basement bathroom. Let it go when I tell you that you were pretending, and don't sit there and say, I actually know how to put the bathroom in the... Let that go. That would also be how it feels to pass the test. It's like, I'm talking about your wife, man. Forget the intellectual grandstanding and the access. Forget it. If it causes you to jeopardize the thing that actually has true heavenly value, then you should be able to pass that test. Lourdes, maybe God is telling you in his own way how great your husband and children are. And I'm going to just leave it at that. All right, sister? Doug, spiritual careerism. Maybe you could repent for almost single-handedly, the people murmuring about my children, that was the coup de grace. You're not responsible necessarily for the coup de grace. But for going around behind my back and saying shit that's not true, maybe you could spend your time saying sorry to God, because you took away from those families a guy who would... Look, if I would do what I did to Sticky Fingers in the interest of protecting a blessed daughter from his wild nature, I would have went to bat for any of those families. Okay? So, Father told me through direct spiritual audible communication not to tolerate your church anymore, because I was about to make the unnecessary mistake of putting my family in some vicious in jeopardy, because you guys were bent on trying to hurt me. and it meant you were going to try to chip away at the bond that I have between me and my children. So you should repent for that, because it cost all those families whatever confidence I would be able to add to those children about the righteousness of their own birth, not the righteousness of their attendance to Hyungjin Moon. Hyungjin's not true father. Hyungjin did not change their blood lineage. No, he didn't. So excessive desire to attend Hyungjin looks like you driving people to honor Hyungjin even at the expense of honoring father, or honoring that which father gave. And father gave them absolute sex origin as their identity and absolute sex tradition, which I was a champion of. So you should repent for that. And I don't know how you're going to get a redo in order to get a second chance to get it right, but in the meantime, you should be studying up for it and repent. And you should tell yourself that you're not going to have these inverted values the next time it comes. Anyway, whether you do or not, I'm just saying this, like I said, for posterity. Jerry, you don't understand complete Testament Christianity. You're a sucker. You are stuck with the lost, who will give everything back to Satan through guilt shaming because you think you're supposed to be nice. And you're a Karen who tells me that since you think you're supposed to be nice, you insist that I'm supposed to exhibit the same niceness that you're sworn to exhibit. So in that way, you're disrespectful to something that's splendid in God's eyes, which is the conviction of ownership. Okay? So I tell people what my boundaries are, and I protect my boundaries, sometimes with harsh words, because I'm sovereign. It's up to me to tell people how far I'm going to go with them and when I'm going to break with them. If I tell them clearly, and sometimes they don't believe me unless I use harsh words, these are reasons why I use harsh words. I'm not necessarily being sinful. So your philosophy is too childish to live with a person like me without, obviously, you being tempted to basically molest me. When you got behind a pseudo-gay guy and Sticky Fingers joined forces with them against me to forward the dossier, you're a goddamn fool. You're a goddamn fool. And that's because you believe you have in common with them. Of course, a guy who's gay does not want people to feel confident to say judgmental words. Of course, a guy who's at the mercy of his physical desires, Sticky Fingers I'm talking about, doesn't like people speaking plainly about how, hey, Sticky Fingers, that was a bad move. He wants us to go, oh, well, I guess you'll get back up on the horse sometime. Better luck next time, even though he fucked somebody's daughter, right? So you're not supposed to be that forgiving. But those people like it when you're wrong about that. They like you more than me because you'll allow them to basically get away with it again because they're really not ready to vanquish their demons yet. And that kind of bothers them, but it would bother them worse if you were also on the job against their demons, like me. So they go, oh, I like Jerry. Okay? So, one day, your false god is to totally be like Donald Trump. Your test against your false god is to totally say something so true that people will hate you like Donald Trump. Because you're just brazen enough to say what needs to be said. And you will give up this idea that you are hurting people and that forgiveness looks like not being judgmental, which means you shouldn't cast fire on something that's treacherous. One day when you can give up your nice little smile and this whole, social capital that you've amassed where people think you're a nice guy and you forfeit that to say the right thing, maybe that's what passing your test with your false god looks like. Richard, I already told you. Passing your test with your false god looks like telling Hyungjin that you don't believe in theology. And it's totally logically sound that you don't occupy that position. Because one day somebody's going to see right through you, and it's probably going to be a blessed child who's looking for crystal clear sincerity, and they're going to find a politician in their face. and they're going to be like, that's the last straw. And let me tell you something. You're going to lie to yourself that you didn't break that kid's heart. Okay. All right. Jim. I don't know. One day, Cook Jim's going to ask you something, to do something. It's going to mess with your conscience, and you're going to quit. That's just it. You're just going to quit. Because serving him won't be important enough to you. Of course, before you quit, you're going to tell him why you can't do that. And if he insists, you're not going to cave in and do things like put a cosmically unprincipled gag order in place. Shit like that. You're not going to like say, oh, well, Cookchin signed off on it. I didn't really do it. No, you really did it. You really actually instituted the gag order. You actually did do that. It doesn't matter if Cookchin asked you to do it. You actually overlooked the fact that there was conflict of interest. You never brought up the conflict of interest. So that was a lack of transparency on your part, because you thought that serving Hyunjin Cookjin would wash over that. So anyway, Carrie, one day you're going to have to sermonize about something, and somebody's more gifted in understanding a particular principle, and you're going to ask them to give the presentation for you instead of you. Because being seen as if you're the in the know about something is not going to matter to you. Your love for brothers and sisters is going to matter more to you, and so you're going to overcome that false god. Also, you know, one day you're going to have to be someplace else, and you just can't, for the sake of your family, maybe for the sake of your marriage, who knows. And in the one hand, you got this career move where you could run a whole workshop even, and you're going to pick the protection of the thing that matters more, and you won't care if you lose access, and you won't care if people don't remember you as the best lecturer or whatever. You won't care. I mean, it'll be upsetting to some degree, but you'll gladly make the trade. So if any of you think that I haven't been up against these types of tests in the past and even through Sanctuary, I mean, come on. And I don't claim to have a way to defeat all of your gods, but you have to pick up your cross and face your 3 temptations according to the diet that you're eating off of. You have your own particular false god. Separating from it and letting your relationship with it die is painful for everybody.